We
Hi.
are recording, and ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Well, let's see. We are definitely recording. Yes, I see. Let's see. We are definitely recording. Good morning. Good morning, all. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Excellent. Glad
Good
to
morning,
be
Glenn.
with us. And I'm going to, at this point, before we get totally rolling, I am going to defer to our fearless leader. Good morning to the Godzilla of personal growth.
I am here. Welcome, everybody, to our Mastermind session. Glenn, good to see you, brother. Congratulations and well done last night on your networking magic. I just attended the best live yoga session that I have ever attended in months and months. Can the host please mute Rose's microphone, please? Please mute all.
Mute all. Here we go.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So I got muted too. Nancy, wow. Is Nancy with us right now? You know what? Why have I not been doing yoga every day of my life? Yeah, Nancy is
right here. Yeah.
There she is.
Yeah.
How awesome was that? And in fact, she's in the environment in which we just did the yoga. There's the fireplace. That is now like a sacred space for me. Like, wow. Yeah, there's that. You got books.
It's a temporary space, John, so don't get too attached.
Well, all right. So I won't get attached to the physicality of it all. I guess that's the whole idea with yoga, right? Is that we're yoking, that we're connecting mind, body, spirit. So, wow. I feel really energized, Nancy. Thank you.
Thank you for being there, John. Yeah, it was amazing to have you. Everybody, please show up. Message me if you have questions or concerns. I'd love to be able to support you.
Or at least watch the recording, when you got an hour to do some yoga stuff. Also, I want to acknowledge Ego, who at 4:00 this morning, my time, went live with our first ever tech tips or tech talk. I'm sorry, Ego, if I'm misstating the title of that. I will get that recording posted ASAP. And then, of course, today, being Thursday, we have alternating events on Thursdays. We have Brand Builder every other week, but that's not this week. This week is Global and Tactical Marketing with Mark Riggle. So get excited. Global and Tactical Marketing. We're going to talk about tactics. In fact, Mark and I had a little discussion about tactics yesterday. So excited to hear what he comes up with. And Stuart had an announcement or a semi-announcement on something he was just talking about with Jane and Neil, two of my favorite people from across the pond. Something about PPC, perhaps doing a PPC session coming up. Maybe? No? Yes? Maybe not?
Yes. It's become apparent that Neil and Jane are the gods and goddesses of PPC of our group here. And so we'll have them as a special guest on e-commerce work group. We'll try and make it so that it's, good, that it's UK friendly and that we can all join on. And we're going to work on that over the next couple of weeks. And we'll call it, PPC demystified.
There you go.
For dummies.
So pay-per-click, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, I said pay-per-click, not pay-per-clip. There's nothing mysterious about paper clips. Paper clips don't make you money unless you're the salesman of the paper clips, and then you got to sell a whole lot of them. So we're talking about pay per click. That's a form of advertising, and it certainly is a great way to get the message out there, but it could also be a great way to just throw your money at stuff that doesn't bear fruit. So there's ways to do that, and there's ways to not do that. But as the old saying goes, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing happens, right? So we want something to happen. Right now, something's going to happen because we're going to bring out Mr. Reverend Professor Glen Henderson. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deacon. And it's so lovely to be with y'all on this Sunday morning. Let us turn in our scriptures to, that's the other meeting. Sorry about that, guys. How's everybody doing? Give me a thumbs up. Feeling good? Everybody feeling nice and limber? Who was with Nancy this morning on her. And hey, listen, I have to take a moment right now to do a little special personal shout out and welcome to my good friend and business coach, Greg Hess, who is joining us this morning as a guest of the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. Y'all say hello to Coach Hess. Coach, good to see you, my man. Excellent.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Glenn.
Absolutely. So let's get right down to it because I've got a little bit of material to cover. I'm sure that for all of those of us who were with Nancy in the yoga session this morning, we're feeling very relaxed and very limber and very healthy and centered. Is that a good word for us, Nancy? We're feeling very much at peace with ourselves and our bodies. And I don't mean to go overboard in any way, but I would suspect that a lot of those words would apply. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes. So here we talked about, Ego spoke yesterday very, very eloquently about limiting beliefs. That conversation, that topic came up in conversation, and it put me in mind, as I mentioned yesterday, of a fairly simple process that I've been introduced to by my good friend and mindset coach Gil McIff. Maybe some of you have picked up on the fact that I have several coaches. I'm becoming increasingly of the opinion that you probably can't have too many coaches. I suppose that's possible, but I've got a mindset coach, and I've got a business coach, and I've got a life coach, and I've got, you know what I mean? And I've got Coach Hess here as one of my business coaches. And so my mindset coach, Gil McIff, has introduced me to, among other concepts and practices, the two very specific ideas. And here's the title that I suppose we could attach to this morning's conversation: peak performance and presence. Ooh, we're about to get all deep. I hope you've got a pen and paper handy. We'll be writing down a few things. Let us first describe our terms, or define our terms, if you want to talk about peak performance, because that's what we're looking for, isn't it? We want to be the best that we can be at whatever it is that we're doing. And each of us may have slightly differing ideas or personal senses of what peak performance means. Let me suggest to us one way of looking at this term, peak performance. Now, look, it's not just an expectation to have for yourself. I mean, it's an attitude of excelling, succeeding beyond, above societal norms over the full journey of your life. It's choosing, if you like, to live. No, not if you like. It is choosing to live a life full of confidence, of joy, absolute presence, all of which are qualities, for one who's living to their fullest potential. When we operate as peak performers, we live in sustained levels of clarity, consciousness, confidence, creativity. And we do this, among other ways, by mastering things like intention. What do we intend? How do we see ourselves? What do we picture our life to be? Intention, co-creation, that is cooperating with the divine, with infinite intelligence, with however you define God or eternity or the universe. Co-creation, vibrancy, we've talked about this before, coming in touch with our own frequency. In my Star Trek universe, we call it each human's individual quantum signature. Vibrancy, coming in touch with that, alignment with our own quantum signature, alignment with infinite intelligence, alignment with the divine, alignment with our better selves, inspired action, another thing where area where we live in the sustained levels of inspired action. Discipline. I heard a guy named Jocko Willink, who is a retired U.S. Navy SEAL. He's written a wonderful book called Discipline Equals Freedom. What? Yeah. So discipline. As a peak performer, in a sense, don't we, as peak performers, we, if you will, think like God all the time. We are always being present. So many of these terms are familiar to us, aren't they? We're being present in the now, not in the past, not in the future. You can't live in the future, can you? And we cannot change the past. but we can, in this unfolding moment, be our wisest, our kindest, our most compassionate self. So that is one way, could be one way of looking at peak performance. And now we're going to get into a little more depth on this concept of presence. That is being fully aware, being fully present in the here and now. Not only mentally, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, even physically present. Who was it was saying the other day, if we could talk to the animals, was it you, Stuart? If we could talk to the animals and ask them, where are you? 100% of the animal's answer would be here. You ask the animals, what time is it? Now. And I think we can all agree that the better we can become, the more practiced and consistent we can become at living in the here and the now, the more in touch we will be with our own alignment with infinite intelligence, the more in touch we will be with our own abilities in terms of co-creation and confidence and discipline. Yes, I've heard it said that whoever has the most flexibility, the most open mind, that is living in the now, has more flexibility, has more choices, and thus has the ability to come up with, the ability to receive different ways, different means to accomplish what we want in our lives. So now let's talk about this presence. How do we achieve it? How do we achieve this presence? How do we cultivate this habit of awareness, of being present in the here and now? I'm going to share something, and a lot of this comes from the conversation. You didn't know you inspired all this yesterday, did you, Eiko? All of this conversation about limiting beliefs. What are limiting beliefs really? They are, one way of defining them is limiting beliefs are stories we tell ourselves about something that happened in the past. Can we agree that there's a little something of that in the limiting beliefs? Stories we tell ourselves, or stories that have been told to us, which we are now conditioned to tell ourselves about something that we did in the past, about the meaning of something that happened in the past. And how many people are held back by these things? I want to share something with you very quickly. I'm going to share my screen, and Coach Hess is very familiar with these kind of online surveys. Let me share this with you. It's a little exercise that each of us, I hope you've got your phone handy. Everybody grab your phone unless you are viewing on your phone. If you see at the top of the screen there, go to menti.com, menti.com, and use the code 6329410. 6329410. And everybody give me a thumbs up when you've got that in front of you, when you're looking at, and you will see this screen that asks this question. What are some limiting beliefs that you've struggled with? Now, before you answer, you'll see the fields there where you can answer. Let me assure you, all of the answers that come in will be completely confidential and anonymous. No one will know who has said what. So just drop in a comment there, something that you're currently struggling with, some limiting beliefs, things like, I don't deserve success. Things, possibilities like, well, I've always been told that I would never amount to anything. I'm afraid to talk to people, or limiting belief, I can't do this, I've never done this before, whatever it might be. Just go ahead and drop in some limiting beliefs that you may have struggled with, some limiting belief that someone you know may have struggled with in the past. And just go ahead and drop them right on in there, and let's see what we come up with. None. I don't believe you. There is no human being on the face of the earth. I'm kidding. Okay, COVID, not wife material, failure, insecurity, not good enough. You see what's happening? You see? Okay, now, you've dropped some things in here. Others have dropped what if, not smart enough, not worthy, not enough, can't do it. I am not beautiful. People won't accept me. Now, each of us saw the limiting belief that we dropped in there. Do you see any coming in there that maybe someone else entered, but they kind of look familiar? Yeah? Maybe it's something that somebody else mentioned that you might have struggled with. Failure keeps coming up. Unworthiness. You see the larger words there? These are the ones mentioned most commonly among us. People won't accept me. Insecure. I'm not enough. And all of the failure, that is, I have failed in the past. Who am I to think I can succeed this time? Right? Something like that. Okay, I wanted us to share these so that we understand, each of us understands, well, that fundamentally, we're not alone. We're not alone in struggling with these limiting beliefs. Every one of us has them. And with all due respect to the person who said none, fantastic. You are among all humans most fortunate. I'm quite certain you know somebody who is struggling with some limiting beliefs. Please feel free to share with them the process that I'm about to share with you. So everybody's kind of got the general idea here about some limiting beliefs. Let me stop the share and come back to us. Now, here's where this gets kind of deep. And you may want to write these steps down, 3 steps, and practice them by yourself, later on, with a partner, something like this. As you were typing in that limiting belief, it stirred up some emotion, didn't it? Whatever that type of emotion was associated with, let's say, I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful. I have failed in the past. You felt something, didn't you? It may have been very small, a kind of a faint, but there was an emotional response attached to that limiting belief. We feel fear. We feel pain, guilt, shame, anger. We feel inadequacy. Now, let me ask you a question. What are you feeling in your body right now? When you think of that limiting belief and the emotion around that limiting belief, what are you feeling in your body right now? Somebody asked me a question recently. In fact, it was Gil asked me, what is anger? I said, well, it's, frustration or a reaction to injustice or to this or that or the other. It's, if you want to get really esoteric, anger is resistance to what is, right? You could say that. He said, okay, all good answers. He said, one you forgot. What is anger? Oh, it's a physiological response in my body. I feel agitated. I feel adrenaline building up. Maybe my face gets flushed, although you could never tell, but maybe my face gets flushed, or maybe my hands start to shake, or I start to feel, that butterflies in my stomach. Some physical reaction is associated with anger. A different kind of physical reaction associated with love. Different kind of physical reaction, physiological reaction associated with shame. Now, here's the question. Where do you feel that? And now here we're going into the steps. Remember, we said limiting beliefs, for this purposes of this discussion, limiting beliefs are the story that we tell ourselves about something that happened in the past, or about something we did in the past, or about something that someone told us about ourselves, right? So with that agreement, that creates an emotion in us. Really limiting beliefs are programs, aren't they? Information that has been programmed, conditioned into us by others, by our own experiences. Now, here's the question. When I feel those emotions, when I think of that limiting belief, when I think of the reaction, who's asking the question? I. Who is I? I am not my emotions. I am not my feelings. I am who is experiencing this. So we see that limiting beliefs are a program, a tape that's running in our head. Yes? Here comes step one. Step one. When I feel this emotion around this limiting belief, I say these specific words. Please write this down. There it is. That's not me. That's a program. There it is. That's not me. That's a program. That's a limiting belief. That's something that's been programmed into my physical body or into my unconscious mind. So that's step one. Step two, pause, take a breath. You can help me out with this, Nancy. Take a deep breath. Pause. Observe that moment deeply. Observe that emotion. Just be aware of it. Like you're sitting across from on the other side of the room, looking at a blob of whatever it is you're feeling, or looking at your body. What physical and emotional sensations am I feeling right now? What do I feel? Where do I feel them? Or simply, I feel it here. It feels like this. Say anger. I feel anger here. It feels like a tightness in my chest. Or I feel shame here. It feels like an emptiness or a queasiness. I feel fear here. It feels like butterfly, whatever it might be. That's the second step. Observe it deeply. Where do I feel it? What is the intensity? Realize who is asking this question. I, as separate from my emotion, as separate from my body. I am feeling this emotion. Note the intensity on a scale of 1 to 10. Do I feel this extremely intensely, 8, 9, 10? Or is it just a mild sense of hesitancy? Let us say fear. Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong answers here. Whatever you feel, make note of it. Observe it. So that's step 2. Step 3, these specific words. Thank you for releasing that. I love you. I love you. I love you. 3 times. What's going on? Thank you. Me, not my body, not my emotional state, not even my thoughts. Me. I'm saying to me, thank you for no longer feeding the program. Thank you for disidentifying from the program, for disconnecting my own identity from the program. Thank you for catching yourself and no longer losing energy here. Thank you for whatever you want to say thank you. Now, if you're feeling great, if it's a feeling you desire, then you can use these specific words. Thank you for expressing this. If what I'm feeling is confidence, alignment, vibrancy, thank you for expressing this. I love you. I love you. I love you. When's the last time somebody told you 3 times in one day that they love you? Wouldn't that be nice to have that happening every day? Wouldn't it be nice? Cool. How about start with yourself? So 3 steps again. Number 1, when I'm feeling the emotion attached to a limiting belief, there it is. That's not me. That's a program. Step 2, observe it. Where do I feel it in my body? Do I feel it here? Do I feel it here? Do I feel it here? What is the level of intensity at which I feel it? Number 3, thank you for releasing that, or Thank you for expressing that. I love you. I love you. I love you. Doesn't take more than 30 seconds to do this to perform this practice. You know what you might want to do? Set a little timer. You know how how certain religious practices, you have a bell or a gong or something that you ring several times a day to remind you to pray and to stop and meditate and so forth. Set yourself a reminder to do this 3, 5, 10 times a day. Oh, Glenn, that's so much. 30 seconds. Take you 30 seconds to do this. Try it every hour, every other hour, and see over time how this begins to help you to disconnect the emotion from the program. And as we start to disconnect the emotion, we'll find that over time, the limiting belief fades. The story in my head gets quieter and quieter and quieter until, who knows, maybe I'll get to a point where I can't even hear it anymore. So there you go. Peak performance and presence. I would love, 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 love to see in the Facebook group some comments, some reactions as we start to practice this, and see what it does for you. See how it helps to remove and release some of those limiting beliefs so that we can now be freed to perform at our peak at all times. And the floor is open. Let me see those hands. I know this is a very deep subject. I know it. Now here's a name we don't see come up too often, and I love it, Joseph Saka. How are you doing, sir? Let's see, where did Joseph get to? Let me see if I can unmute. Oh, there you go, Joseph.
It's me.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, it's not Joe, unfortunately. He's somewhere else.
Well,
I have been struggling for weeks and weeks now about all that is required for my business through the internet. And I've been getting moody, I've been miserable, I've been overwhelmed, I've been drawn, I've been wiped out, and I can't imagine how to deal with it. So I guess maybe I'm gonna try your recipe and see if it works. And I talked to a friend this morning, and she said to me, she said, no, people work their bodies through different parts of their brains. And she said, some people can assimilate a computer and all the technical things like, you know, math and science and things like that. And others are more artsy. And I am extremely artsy. And I'm wondering if it's just something that's in my body that my mind just doesn't grasp onto it the way everybody else does, or whether it's just something that I'm using as an excuse. What do you think?
That's a very good question. I would say the answer is probably a blend of the two. Many times what we think, it's like the old analogy. You feel hungry, you feel what feels like hunger, but then you drink a glass of water and you're fine. In fact, you weren't actually hungry, you were thirsty. It's a very crude analogy to say that sometimes what we believe are physical ailments, and listen, this is not to discount the reality of illness and disease, but sometimes, many times, what we attribute primarily to physical ailments are in fact ailments of mind. You ever heard? I've heard a story once about a lady who went to see the dentist, absolutely terrified of going to the dentist. Absolutely terrified of going to the dentist. There was nothing really wrong with her physically, but she just had this terrible irrational phobia, sat down in the dentist chair, didn't want to go, but she had to, terrified, sat down in the dentist chair, heart attack, passed away.
Oh my God.
Where did that come from? She had not been diagnosed with heart disease. Where'd that come from? And so you see, by the same token, things that the source of, in many cases, the source of what we call physical ailments can come from limiting beliefs, stories, programs, insecurities, fears, angers, pain, things going on here that manifest here. So maybe take one of those. You saying you were feeling overwhelmed. Where do you feel that physically in your body? I'm actually asking. This is not a rhetorical question.
I feel it through my whole body. I feel like there's something coming out of the computer that is sucking me dry. Mm. And I mean, I try to take breaks and do other things like some of the people in the groups have suggested.
Yes.
And I'm not a quitter. Glenn, I am not a quitter. I mean, I took this on and I said, I'm going to do this, but it's affecting my health, my marriage, it's affecting everything. And I'm not getting anywhere significantly. And I'm wondering if I'm just like, maybe this isn't something that I can conquer. I mean, sometimes, remember, we got into conversations, you need to know when to quit. You need to know when to take another turn or whatever. I mean, I've mastered things in my life that I wanted to conquer, but this is like a mountain. For some reason, this computer has become my #1 major enemy. And I get nauseous. I actually get sick to my stomach.
I get nauseous. I can hear the overwhelm. Can you all hear it? The words tumbling out. I can't. It's so hard. It's overwhelming. And I am not, absolutely not making fun of you. I absolutely am not. I get it. 2 suggestions come to mind. You remember those of us who were on the book study Monday night, Think and Grow Rich? Remember the man who stopped 3 feet from gold? Why? Because he did not seek expert counsel to solve his problem. I think one thing you might consider is seeking expert counsel to help you resolve some of the technical issues that you're dealing with. You may, as Therese said, maybe take a couple of days off. Go for a walk, go for a bike ride, take the whole day off. Something like that. The other thing, when you start to feel that overwhelm, that sense of, it's too much, pull out this 3-step process. And do it. Do it. If you need to do it several times an hour, do that. It'll help, I promise. It won't solve your tech problems for you. Seek expert counsel. But I think you'll find you can begin to release the emotion around struggling, around the striving to get this done, the striving to work more efficiently. Thank you so much for sharing that. Mr.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Edward, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Glenn. Thank you for this once again very powerful topic. I think I should say thank you for the antidote as well, because I have struggled a lot with that issue of limiting beliefs. And like I said yesterday, I am working on it seriously because I don't want it to keep getting in the way. But it's not easy. That's why I'm thanking you for the antidote. We need to be conscious, you need to really be aware that this is what you're dealing with before you can begin treating it. So I'm going to try and apply that. When it comes to peak performance, I have kind of picked up from myself again, and please don't let anybody not take this as bragging, but I have been a good team member of every team that I have worked with. And many of my leads, my project managers, my program managers have actually referred to me as a top drawer business analyst. And I'm not that special. I have my own issues, limiting beliefs being one major one. But what I have noticed that has helped me has been to put myself deep into what I'm doing fully and wholeheartedly. And that demeanor that I approach my work has reflected in the outcome. I have been called, even before I called myself, you know, a results-oriented person. I am a reliable person. Simply because when I promise you I'm going to do this, I will do it, come what may. So the demeanor that we assume as we enter a role or an activity that we are going to do significantly determines what we are going to get out of that activity. And unfortunately, the limiting beliefs tend to come in the way and erode a little bit of the confidence that would help us to achieve that peak performance. So I'm so thankful for these steps that you have set, and I'm going to begin really using them. Thanks, Glenn.
Excellent. Love, thank you for sharing that. And these are intended as as powerful as they can be. They really are intended as a first step in beginning to address some of the root causes and the sources of these limiting beliefs. Very often it's quite difficult to do that when I'm stuck in the vortex of emotion around the limiting beliefs. It's very difficult to step back and look at it objectively and say, okay, who told me that? You see? And so in the course of your work, Edward, you'll be able to begin to see from a more objective point of view where some of these beliefs come from and how to address them. We've got Stuart, then Evelyn M. and Nancy. Stuart, my man, what's happening?
Howdy, Glenn. Hey, everybody. Good day. Great topic today, or continuation of an ongoing topic. I'm starting to think that there really is only one topic. If you understand what I'm saying? And I love that we sort of, you know, branch out into different aspects, but to me, it's all the same conversation that we keep having. So I appreciate that. Glenn, what I really appreciate is the mountaineering reference. And, you know, as an outdoors person, the moment somebody says peak, I'm like top of the mountain, right? And so I love that metaphor. I'm sure Wayne does as well. I think, you know, when I think about summit, I think about apex, peak, right? These are all synonyms for life at the top, right? And I immediately think of being at the top of your game, right? And so when I think about peak performance, it's being at the top of your game or being at the top of the mountain. And maybe there's a metaphor for, you know, living on top or something like that. Glenn, I really liked your animals as teachers reference, right? And I'm sure we have many animal lovers on the call here. I have to say that I've spent, you know, the last 30 years hanging out with a herd of camelids in the wilderness. And these llamas, man, they have been some of my greatest teachers, really about giving me perspective about how to walk through the world in a different way. Yeah, and I think we can learn a lot from the way animals live in the moment. I think that when I think about animals that experience fear and other things, you know, humans are the only animals that can project a fearful experience into the future. Right? Whereas an animal, you know, may react to, you know, momentary stimulus in terms of survival. They don't necessarily worry about shit, right? We're the only creatures that really worry about, oh, is that going to happen to me again? Is that going to happen tomorrow or whatever it is? So it's very interesting that we do tend to be our own worst enemies. I like your mindset hack. And that's kind of what I'm calling all this stuff is mind hacks, right? And how do we deprogram and reprogram ourselves, right? And I feel fortunate, as I'm sure many of you guys on this call, that at some point in our lives we become aware of our programming, right? And that's that sort of metacognition, and I think that's the first step with anything, is to understand the ways that we've been programmed in ways that aren't helpful or positive to us. And so that I think all this is about how do we break our mental programming? How do we unlearn and relearn? And I'm grateful for this forum so that we can all work on those things. The last thing I'll say is you mentioned, I liked your concept of identifying not only what you're feeling, but where you're feeling it. And I'll build on what you're talking about in terms of, physical tends to be an expression of the mind. And I'll even take it a step further and say that physical is an expression of the spiritual, and as above, so below. And I know, I'm sure some of you guys on call have heard of Louise Hay. There's a lot of research and a lot of information about the correlation between where we experience pain and illness that specifically relate to matters of the spirit, right? And I think that's a really interesting thing. Oh, my shoulder. Oh, I hurt my foot. Maybe that's I'm having problems moving forward in my life. Or right, these things all tend to, your foundation or whatever it might be. And there's always some sort of an analogy from the spiritual to the physical. And obviously that's a discussion, for another time. But thanks again, Glenn. Great job.
My pleasure, man.
What's up, Coach? Nice to meet you, Coach.
Yeah, he's got another meeting. He had to jump off quickly, but he definitely appreciated it. One specific comment that Coach Hess made was he says the transparency in this group is fantastic. We are willing to open ourselves up and share with each other what we're feeling most deeply. Oh, and I love it. I love what you said, Stuart, and bringing in, reminding us of the idea as above, so below, as within, so without. And our bodies, our minds, our intellects, and our spiritual being are inextricably intertwined. Love it. Evelyn M., then Nancy, and then Star. Let us hear from you, Madam Evelyn.
Hey, how are you, Glenn?
Outstanding. Doing great. Please go forward.
So I love what you said about discipline equals freedom. And it brings me to my business plan. If you're gonna know yesterday, they know that that's something that I need to work on. And I certainly do need a little bit more discipline. And I'm sure once I get that done, that little 4-letter word from John, I'm going to have that sense of freedom and not carry that on my shoulders anymore. But I also wanted to raise my hand for Gina. Gina, I am in South Florida. So if you need anything, I have sent you my number twice already on the private chat, but I guess you have missed it. I will send it to you.
Excellent.
I will send it to you. You're getting a lot of love on the chat. I don't know if you're seeing that. I am here for you, whatever you need. Other people here can tell you that whatever stage of your business you're at, I'm a little bit ahead of some of you, but I am still also a student. I am under the PPC campaign right now. I'm learning that so I can master it. But I also have to say, I love, just like Stuart said it, the mind hack, right? Why are we thinking that way? Why are we feeling that way? Where are we feeling that? Let it go and love yourself. You guys, when I went through breast cancer, that was one of the things I had to do, So why would I let a business plan beat me when I beat breast cancer, right? So I'm gonna do it.
Excellent. Excellent.
That was it, guys.
Fantastic, Evelyn. An example of someone who will not be defeated. And
No,
we all have that capability, don't we?
Yes.
So yes, and for many of us, it begins with coming to a full understanding of where we are. And I think this whole practice of presence, of becoming fully aware of our emotions in any given moment, of what we're feeling at any given moment, is a part of that process of self-awareness that we can then use to take us to the next level. Nancy, and then Star, and Wayne. We may be wrapping up with Wayne. How cool would that be? Nancy.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Fantastic topic today. Thank you for everyone that shared so far. And oh my gosh, I totally forgot your name. Joe's wife.
Gina.
Gina, thank you. Okay, so Gina, this is for you, partially for you as well. So for those of you that are here that are doing Amazon, there are so many things that come up for me, limiting beliefs with this work, because I don't have a default setting in my brain that works with Excel. I'll just say it like that, okay? And so when I met with my coach, I let him know that, you know, this fancy spreadsheet that Blue Sky had produced, which allows us to kind of do our assessment, was so hard for me to figure out. And I just said to him, is it okay if I just do this on paper? Like, I think on blank paper, that's how I need to roll. He's like, oh yeah, I don't use it either. I later then input the stuff. So that really is really helpful to me, because I could have just been stopped right there, because I start to remember these old tapes like something's wrong with me, like I have a learning disability. And let me tell you, this just triggered an old memory that I want to share briefly. I was raised as a Montessori kid from the time I was like 4 until 9. I got pushed into public school and at 9 years old, and I had my first exam. I'd never had an exam in my life as a Montessori kid, right? And it was a bubble test. I didn't know what to do with the bubbles. I didn't understand that you fill in the bubble if it's yes. And so I didn't want to ask because I felt stupid. So I failed it. My brother failed it. The principal called my mom and just said, I think we have a problem here. So that's a long ways back, but that's the kind of thinking that I can get into if I think, oh, I actually need to process information differently, because all of us do. That's one thing. This is a little bit of a separate topic, but I have to share this. So Brené Brown, who's a social scientist, I hope some of you know who she is. Check her out. Her podcasts are unbelievable. She had one on that I listened to yesterday. She was interviewing Dr. Sonnenschein on his book called Stretch, like to stretch something. And he was talking about 2 concepts that I think are related, Glenn, to peak performance and presence. The concepts are one called being stretchy, right? How can we be in this creative mindset, this resilient mindset where we're living in our fullest self, right? That's peak performance quality. The other concept that's the opposite pole of that is chasey, right? CHASY. When we're being chasey, means we're not being present. That is when we are comparing ourselves to other people. Oh, she's way ahead down the line. I don't even have my seller's account. Or look at her, she's beautiful. Or look at him, or whatever it is. It's that comparison that pulls you immediately out of the present moment. And those 2 concepts, stretchy and chasey, are like completely perfect with this peak performance and presence. So I wanted to share that. I'll put in the chat her name, just in case you couldn't quite get it.
Brené Brown, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I love that, Nancy. I'm so glad you mentioned that about being stretchy versus chasey. That whole chasey, we used to call that, at least here in the States, we used to call that keeping up with the Joneses. Everybody remember that term? Trying to keep up with the neighbor who's got the nicer car, or the colleague who's got the bigger income in their business, or whatever it is. Comparison, oh my gosh. How much joy has been stolen from too many people by comparisons? You know, you say, never compare your stage 2 to someone else's stage 27. Makes no sense, does no one any good. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder, Nancy. I know I was looking off from the camera. I was taking notes on what you're saying. Phenomenal.
Check it out.
Absolutely. Thank you. Star, then Wayne, then UPA. Star, how are you?
Hey everybody. Absolutely. Just today is just exactly why I come here every day. So amazing. I love that tool you used, Glenn. That was just superb for really reflecting the feelings of the group. And it would be great. I'd love to see that used more. But it's really lovely just to get a gauge on how we're all feeling. I mean, there's there's 48 now, but there were 51 earlier, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to just brilliant, and such wonderful tools that you are offering us from your extensive wisdom, which I'm really enjoying. But so much to say, but I'm just going to bring it back to t-shirts. So Mark, what about my limiting beliefs are behind me, and then on the back, limiting beliefs as the next t-shirt
Nice.
design. So I don't mean to reduce everything. And Gina, I've sent you a WhatsApp message if you would like to do some Zoom sharing and have a look at your computer. I'm more than happy to help. Nancy, sorry I missed your yoga class. It's been a busy day at work. And the rest of you, I love, love, love you.
Love it. Love it. Boy, the love, the positive feeling, the support in this group is, it's palpable, isn't it? You can just kind of feel it coming through the wire. You know, it's the mastermind. The mastermind. I've dropped the link to the tool that I used. It's called Mentimeter. And so I dropped it in there. And here, let me drop it again so that everybody has an app. Go and look at it. It's very simple. It's free, and you can use it for a number of different purposes. It's a fantastic little tool. We've got Wayne, and then the one and only Lavenia. Wayne, what's happening?
Glenn, deep respect, my friend. Fantastic. I don't really have much to say. It's been said, but I just Stuart mentioned, and I really appreciated what he said, that really what we talk about, it's really all the same thing. It's transmutation. It's our change into another state, an infinite state. And thank you, everybody, for your contributions. I love you.
Interesting. Boy, that's going to get to be a mantra around here, isn't it? I love you. Well, it looks like we may very well be wrapping up, unless someone else has got an absolute passionate thought that is burning a hole in the pocket of your mind. Let us hear from the one, the only, Ivy.
Hey, Glenn. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Well, Therese, you gave us that hashtag name, the Love Crowd. Here it is, love in action.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, I love you all. You're my newfound family. It's amazing. So I was just saying to people in the chat privately that we've just got to, when we feel overwhelmed, Gina, this is for you. Suzanne, this is for you. And whoever else might have hit a roadblock or a mental block or whatever it is, take time out. You know, you're not racing against anybody else. This is your business you're building. You can go as slow, as fast as you need to. If you need to backtrack, if you need to review, if you need to take time out, catch your breath, you're allowed to. You know, and I just think we need to, when we hit those blocks, we just need to reconnect with the why, because you've already created that reality in your mind. We create things twice, once mentally and the second time physically. So it already exists in the mental realm. All you're doing now is pulling it into the physical realm. So whatever your destination is, whatever that ideal place is, that ideal state, that financial freedom, whatever the options you want for yourself, by thinking and connecting with your why, you've already created that once. You've done the hard work. So all you're doing now is pulling those bricks one by one or by the dozen or whatever into the physical to build that thing that you can touch and you can see. So it exists. So don't let your mind fool you and tell you you're still a long way off or you're never going to get there. You're already there. So if you forget or you feel disconnected, think about the why again and remember the emotions that why creates on the inside of you and tell yourself, I'm already there. So when you wake up in the morning, if you need to, you know, remind yourself, look in the mirror and say to yourself, I'm there because I know how I feel when I get there. So that when you do see it in the physical, it's just a confirmation of what you already know. So that it's just so powerful. That's what's going to get us through the tough times. I mean, I was just saying to somebody, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So enough already. I'm just going to go on and do it. So
Get it
burning
done.
desire, single-mindedness, definiteness of purpose, whatever it takes, I'm going to do this if this kills me. So every waking breath, every ounce of energy, it's towards that goal because I know it already exists. So nothing is going to tell me otherwise. I'm getting this. I have this, you know? And so I don't care what else happens. We're already there, you know? And from time to time, we will need somebody to give us a hand up, pull us up, because we're climbing something, yeah? And we might get out of breath. We might get tired. You're allowed to stop for a rest break, you know, a comfort break, whatever else it is. But climbing, we're still going to climb until we get to the top. And we're not losing anyone. We're going together as a family, guys.
We
We're
leave
all going to
no
get
one
there.
behind.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Fabulous.
Love it. This is one of the principles, Ivier, that's laid out in the old book by Wallace D. Wattles called The Science of Getting Rich.
Yep.
I'm sure that'll be on our book club list at some point. And I love your thing about we are there. Don't let your mind fool you. One of the other things that my coach Gil told me to think about in terms of achieving our goals, watch this, catch this now. In terms of achieving our goals, we don't need to get there so much as we need to disconnect ourselves or release the identity of not being there. Did you catch that? I'll say it again. We don't need to get there as far as our goal is concerned. We don't need to get there so much as we need to release the identity of not being there. You just said it, Ivier. Everything that we create is created twice. Goethe said it, once in the mind, second time in the physical world. So live in that mental creation. Okay, we're approaching the top of the hour. Oh, love it, Ivier. The profundities are endless. We're approaching the top of the hour. So as we say, talk fast. Therese, then Suzanne and Nicola. Therese.
Hello, I love you. I love you. I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, incredible topic. Mind food. I love every morning our 9 a.m. mind walk, as I have decided to call it. I don't know if anyone's seen that movie, but if you can find a copy of it, I think all of you would enjoy it. I think it's kind of hard to find, but it's a scientist, an artist, and a politician that converged together on an island, or I don't know exactly how to say that. It's in Saint Michel in France, and there's a huge castle there, and they go on a mind walk together with these 3 different perspectives. So it's 3 brilliant people with 3 completely different perspectives. Anyway, it's profound, and I think about it every morning when I'm in this group. So I'm going to share that with you.
Thank you. And
I want everyone to try to find a copy. So, yeah, my love crowd. I don't know what else to say. There's nothing else to add here. I wanted to just make myself heard and let everybody know how much I love them, and that we are, I think every single one of us is open and ready to help, receive, respond no matter what. So if anyone's feeling anything, reach out in the after call, the hospitality call, emails. If one of us can't help you, we'll find the person that can. And I love that, Evier, you're right. No one's leaving anyone behind. We're all going there together. So thank you.
Thank you, Therese. We love you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Suzanne and then Nicola. It looks like we're going to wrap up with Jamie. Suzanne.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say very quickly, I really appreciate this group. I am going further and doing more than I've ever really done on anything like this. Even if I don't speak a lot, it's just being here and having your support in the chat, or just knowing. So I just wanted to say thank you. And before I go, I just wanted to say Sending lots of love to Gail, wishing her all the very best for her surgery tomorrow, and hope she's back on here soon, 100% pain-free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll be scoring tries from the midfield stripe in no time. Love it. Love it. And you know, Gail, I know the feeling. I have an idea. So you're going to be great. You're going to come through it with flying colors. Nicola, and then last but not least, Jamie Nicola.
Hi, everyone. Another good subject, Glenn. I think it's been said in the chat, but honestly, just the honesty and openness amongst this group, I just, every day blows my mind. It's amazing. I don't know how we managed to come together, but it's such a brilliant group. But no, just a thought I had, just as I was kind of listening to everyone's points. We seem to, when it comes to a physical change that we want to make, we all accept how we go about making that change. So if I decide tomorrow I can't run a marathon, but I want to run a marathon, I've acknowledged that. And then I'll start to put small steps in place every day and train myself and continue those habits every day until I can run a marathon. And we all, when it's a physical change, we all accept it's doable. We can train ourselves to achieve that goal. And we don't wake up the next morning and beat ourselves up for the fact that we're not running a marathon that day. And I just think we're kind of slowly starting to understand the power of thoughts and that we can change our thoughts. And they aren't, you know, it's that kind of growth versus fixed mindset. But I don't think, because you can't see it, obviously it's a thought, it's an energy, we approach it in a very different way. And we've all got great examples of there where we're beating ourselves up because we don't do something in a certain way, rather than try to think of it in the same way you would as a physical change, if that makes sense. So
it does.
You kind of understand you're not there today, you've accepted you want to change, you know where you want to get to, and it's then about putting the steps in place and changing those daily habits until we get there. And I just, for me, it's a different emotional feeling I get when I think about it in that way, in the same way I would do as any kind of physical task I'm about to take on. So I don't know, it's just a thought I thought I would share, but I think we can be a bit kinder to ourselves if we approach it in that kind of frame of mind. If that
we need to cut ourselves some slack.
Yeah.
Give ourselves a break. For many of us, these mindset practices may be new. They sound great. As you said, if I need to lose 5 kilos, I have a pretty good idea what I need to do, right? If I need to alter my mindset, well, how do I? We're not sure. But now we have a mastermind cooperative here where we can help each other and make suggestions and give advice and guide and support each other in accomplishing what we need. And we are all of us in the right place, are we not? Fantastic. Thank you, Nicola. Jamie, and then we got to wrap up with Ego. Jamie.
Hey all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I love you, I love you, I love you. And I mean that. I woke up this morning, and I'm going to be really, really brief, but this is just touches on the group and the mindset of the group and what I look forward to every morning, and I think that everybody looks forward to in this group every morning. I woke up and I felt like CRAP. I don't know what it was. I was off, and I had a conversation that was pre-planned. We scheduled it this morning with somebody in this group, and 2 minutes into the call, it was gone. And what that speaks to, for me, is the cohesiveness in this group, the mindset, the connection, how we are with everybody, how we feel about everybody, it's like night and day. I mean, I'm on the West Coast. It's past 10 o'clock. This was at 8:30, 8:15 my time having a conversation. It was like this morning never existed. Like I woke up. It's like I literally woke up again at 8:30, feeling entirely different. And so I'm sure a lot of that might have been chemical. I had sushi last night. Maybe there was too much mercury in my fish. I have no idea. But I'll tell you that your subject today was just spot on, and the stars aligning for me to get on today and listen to this after the start this morning and after talking to this group this morning. And I'm going to tell you who it is. It was Adrian. And the man was just really hit it out of the ballpark, with his attitude and the conversation we had, which was totally nothing about how I felt. It was something different. It was the energy within the conversation. And I get that from everybody. So just wanted to weigh in on that. Love you. Have a great day. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. It's kind of like a splash of cool water in the face, isn't it? Mentally speaking, this group. So you know what? We've got two more. Ego, and just one final comment from Edward.
I'll make it really quick because I know we're way out of time.
Thank you, Ego. Go.
Yeah. So, thanks for that amazing topic, Glenn, as always. And, everything's been said. However, I just kind of want to tie this back, and I think Nicola touched on that as well, to what I talked about yesterday. It's interesting how we would not tolerate the external pushback or external negativity. However, we fester and we accommodate it internally. So if somebody walked up to me and said, "You're not good enough," I would challenge that. What do you mean? Why do you say that? I disagree with you. But then we allow these to kind of fester, and we nurture it when we really shouldn't, I mean, like you said, the mindset, the whole idea of mindset is new. Even if it's not new, we are constantly learning, but, it's a good thing for us to be aware that, these thoughts come and we just allow them float by, just like a fish, kind of swimming in the water.
Love it. Why should we? Thank you, Ego, and thank you for reminding me. That's one to keep in mind, right? Why should we tolerate from ourselves what we wouldn't dream of tolerating from someone else?
Yeah, exactly.
Love it, love it. Let us wrap up with a final comment from our friend Edward. Sir, please go forward.
Thank you, Glenn. Sorry, I didn't mean to hold everybody back, but as everybody spoke, I just kept on thinking about what I think about when I'm in some of those very difficult situations of especially making decisions. Everybody of us has planted something. You've planted roses in your garden, you've planted a seed of some kind. And once you've planted it, apart from watering it and removing the weeds around it, all you do is wait for it to get to that point where you will see the results. Now, we see it in the natural. We are able to do something like that, plant a seed and nurture it and let it grow and wait for the result. But when it comes to things like online marketing and starting a business and believing in ourselves, we don't tend to do that. And I'm thinking this always comes up for me when I begin feeling, no, I don't think I can do that. I bring that up because in Psalms, there's a psalm where the psalmist says, "What is man that God is so mindful of him?" For those of you who read the Bible or are Christians, we are special people and we need to believe that we are really special people. So this forum again is helping me to realize what we need to do. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Let's think about the roses in the back garden.
Excellent. Thank you for that analogy, Edward. It's kind of like the farmer. Hey, I planted the seeds last month. I ain't got no harvest yet. This farming thing must be a scam.
Glenn, can I just have a word for a minute? I just want to thank everyone for your beautiful words and your prayers. I really, truly appreciate them. And we truly are a wonderful family. So thank you all.
Gail, what time is your surgery tomorrow?
I won't know until the hospital calls me sometime today.
Okay. So for all of tomorrow, for some of us, we'll begin today because soon it'll be your tomorrow. Yeah. You will be upheld and supported and buoyed and strengthened by our prayers and our good thoughts and our love. You are going to come through this 100%. There can be no doubt about that. Yeah, there is no doubt. Thank you all for hanging in there with us right through the top of the hour. Once again, Gail, you got this. Yep. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget, begin this practice. Practice it a few times a day and see what happens. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you.
I love you.
Very soon.
So check out Mark Riggle tonight. Mark Riggle's Tactical Marketing tonight.
Mark Riggle tonight. See you soon. Bye for now.